Give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. Because the critical thing we must do to stop the disease spreading between households. That is why people will only be allowed to leave their home for the following very limited purposes. Shopping for basic necessities as infrequently as possible. One form of exercise a day, for example, a run, walk or cycle, alone or with members of your household. Any medical need to provide care or to help a vulnerable person, and travelling to and from work, but only where this is absolutely necessary and cannot be done from home. That's all. These are the only reasons you should leave your home. You should not be meeting friends. If your friends ask you to meet, you should say no. You should not be meeting family members who do not live in your home. You should not be going shopping except for essentials like food and medicine. And you should do this as little as you can. And use food delivery services where you can. If you don't follow the rules, the police will have the powers to enforce them, including through fines and dispersing gatherings. To ensure compliance with the government's instruction to stay at home, we will immediately close all shops selling non-essential goods, including clothing and electronic stores, and other premises, including libraries, playgrounds and outdoor gyms and places of worship. We'll stop all gatherings of more than 2 people in public, excluding people you live with. And we'll stop all social events, including weddings, baptisms and other ceremonies, but excluding funerals. Parks will remain open for exercise, but gatherings will be dispersed. No Prime Minister wants to enact measures like this. I know the damage that this disruption is doing and will do to people's lives, to their businesses and to their jobs. And that's why we've produced a huge and unprecedented programme of support both for workers and for business. And I can assure you that we will keep these restrictions under constant review. We will look again in 3 weeks and relax them if the evidence shows we are able to. But at present, there are just no easy options. The way ahead is hard, and it is still true that many lives will, sadly, be lost. And yet it is also true that there is a clear way through. Day by day, we are strengthening our amazing NHS with 7,500 former clinicians now coming back to the service. With the time you buy, by simply staying at home, we are increasing our stocks of equipment. We are accelerating our search for treatments. We're pioneering work on a vaccine. And we're buying millions of testing kits that will enable us to turn the tide on this invisible killer. I want to thank everyone who is working flat out to beat the virus. Everyone from the supermarket staff to the transport workers to the carers to the nurses and doctors on the front line. But in this fight, we can be in no doubt that each and every one of us is directly enlisted. Each and every one of us is now obliged to join together to halt the spread of this disease, to protect our NHS and to save many, many thousands of lives. And I know that as they have in the past, so many times, the people of this country will rise to that challenge and we will come through it stronger than ever. We will beat the coronavirus and we will beat it together. And therefore, I urge you, at this moment of national emergency, to stay at home, protect our NHS, and save lives. Thank you.
Well, the outcome of the meeting is being confirmed tonight across all 4 nations, and the Prime Minister, of course, has just made a television address. I wanted to take the opportunity to set out clearly and unequivocally what this means for Scotland. Some of what I'm about to outline has already been advised in Scotland, either yesterday or today, but I want to ensure that the latest position is set out clearly and comprehensively so that you, the public, know exactly what is now being expected of you. Let me be blunt. The stringent restrictions on our normal day-to-day lives that I'm about to set out are difficult and they are unprecedented. They amount effectively to what has been described as a lockdown. I know how difficult all of that is, and I am not going to seek to sugarcoat it in any way. But these measures are essential for the protection of all of us. Coronavirus is the biggest challenge of our lifetimes, and the measures we take to tackle it must reflect the magnitude of that. These measures are essential to slow down the spread of this virus. They are essential to reduce the peak impact of it. They are essential to prevent our National Health Service being overwhelmed so that it can continue to provide treatment to all of those who need it. And they are, quite bluntly, essential to save lives. So I ask you not to think that any of this is being done lightly. It is absolutely not. This is for the protection of each and every one of us. So what I am telling people across Scotland that they now must do to help us fight this virus is stay at home. That is the clear message I gave yesterday, and I am reinforcing that message now. From tonight, the only permissible reasons to leave your home are as follows. Firstly, to shop for basic necessities, and I'm asking that you should limit that to once a day. Second, to take exercise, again once a day, but to do so alone or with your own household, not in groups. Third, for medical reasons or to care for a vulnerable person. And fourthly, to travel to essential work if that work cannot be done at home. As I said earlier today, we will be issuing further guidance to employers to help them judge what is and is not essential. And of course, support is in place for businesses and their employees, and more, I hope, will be put in place for those who are self-employed. But apart from those restricted reasons, the advice is clear, it is strong, and it is firm. You must stay at home. To support this and to help ensure compliance, the following will now be required. Firstly, as I said earlier, all non-essential shops and retail outlets are being required to close. Libraries, communal places within parks and places of worship, with the exceptions of funerals, which I'll come back to in a moment, must close too. We will publish shortly an indicative and illustrative list of affected premises. Secondly, social events must not take place. That includes weddings and christenings. The exception is funerals, but we are asking, in what is undoubtedly the hardest thing I will say tonight, that they are restricted to immediate family only. And thirdly, gatherings of more than 2 people in public will be prohibited unless it is part of a household or related to essential, and I stress, essential work. All of this we intend to take effect immediately. And make no mistake, I know how hard this is, but I want to repeat that this is essential, and my duty to you means that I cannot shy away from telling you that and seeking your compliance. Which takes me to the issue of enforcement. As I said yesterday, I want people to think of this not as guidance or advice, but as a set of rules to be followed for the protection of yourself, your loved ones, your community, and our National Health Service. I fully expect that the vast majority of people will do the right thing, and I thank you in advance for that. However, later this week, emergency legislation will give us powers of enforcement, and we will use those powers of enforcement if that is necessary. It is no exaggeration to say that lives depend on all of us complying with these requirements. Between now and these powers being in place, if the police find people or premises flouting these rules, they will give strong advice to people to cease and do the right thing. But within days, they will be able to follow that up with enforcement, which is likely to take the form of fines. But let me be clear, I really hope and expect that the issue of enforcement will never be more than an academic one. I hope and expect that everyone will understand that complying with these rules is in the interests of all of us. I spoke a couple of days ago about the importance of all of us looking out for each other, and this is a vital part of how we do that. If we do all of these things, if all of us do all of these things, if we all agree, however difficult, to restrict our own lives for a period, then many fewer of us will die of this virus than would otherwise be the case. That means many more of us will come through this and out the other side of it, and perhaps do so more quickly, to resume the freedoms and the lifestyles that we have for so long cherished and taken for granted. I said a few days ago that this crisis was reminding us all of the fragility of life in the world we live in, but that it was also reminding us of what matters most: health, love and solidarity. So let's all do what we are being asked to do now to protect our own health and that of others, and to show love and solidarity for our fellow citizens. I now ask the